Thank you. I request Sister Manju, the former National Executive Secretary of Forum, and presently Sister Manju is in Delhi doing great work among women against trafficking. And I request Sister Manju to take over.
Thank you, Father Anand, for the words of welcome and also putting us into the mood for this webinar by spending a few minutes remembering Father John DESROCHERS. Now, I request Brother Sunil to introduce the speaker, Dr. George Joseph.
Thank you, Sister Manju. It's my privilege to introduce the speaker of the day, Dr. George Joseph. And Sir George Joseph was born in 1957 and was deeply shaped by his mentor, Father John DESROCHERS, with whom he shared a lifelong bond and vision for justice and inclusion. Beginning with YCS and YSM, he later worked with SCA and co-authored books with Father John. In 1999, he founded CSA Trust, initiating grassroots work among the rural poor, single women, children with disabilities, and tribal communities across South India. His 5-decade career, including a PhD in social work, left a lasting impact. Despite retiring in January 2025, his legacy endures through the transformative initiatives he led and the lives he touched. Dr. George, we are happy to hear your reflection on Father DESROCHERS.
Thank you.
Thank you, Sunil, for the short introduction to Dr. George. Now over to Dr. George. After listening, we can spend maybe 5 minutes or so just to have some clarifications or anything in short. Then we have many people who have volunteered to share their experience of Father John DESROCHERS. So everybody, please keep in mind to speak short, but after each sharing, we will keep maybe 10 seconds to really thank Father John for his being and for his doing. Now over to Dr. George Joseph.
Good evening, and thank you for inviting me to share my experiences with Father John. I have the privilege of having lived and shared a life with Father John for 50 years, starting in May 1975 and ending, May 2025. I was 17 years old in 1975 when I first met Father John, and Father John was 37 years old. I think the 1970s were difficult years in his life. Also mine, because I will explain why. First, I will explain to him that was the year he gave up formation responsibilities with the religious congregation, moved on to Indian Social Institute as a trainer. He started CSA to have publications, and he moved into a one-room tenement with one Susai Nathan in Bangalore in Millers Road, sharing a toilet with the entire family of 7, 8 of them. So that was difficult times, a time when he was looking for meaning in life and wanting to identify himself with the most poor and the most disadvantaged. The context of my meeting Father John was very interesting, and our association for 50 years have withstood the time over many years. In 1975, I left home 15 years old, being informed that I had the occasion to become a priest. But my formative discovered within a matter of 2 years, including Father Morris, who is there, realized that this fellow have no occasion to become a priest. And I was guided to meet Father John. I met Father John. He told me he was organizing a series of sessions that time, April, May 1975. Why not you attend and find whether I had the occasion to work with students. After attending an animators training program, students program, and the National Council of the YCS YSM, I was sent to Mangalore to work with my brother, with whom I worked for a couple of years. 6 years later, I returned to Bangalore to work with Father John as a research associate of Center for Social Action. And from then till 1999, I was a full-time staff of CSA, fulfilling many responsibilities. I was research associate with him. I was companion. We stayed the same place to stay. We went for movies together. We went to eat out together. Many things we did together until the year 2000. I worked with Father John, sharing a life together, living, sharing, and sharing many of the ideas and thoughts of the social teachings of the church and so forth. But by 1993, I had realized that my interest in research and publications, that was the speciality of Father John, I no more had, and I was more keen to get involved in practical work, field sort of involvement. Initially, from 1993 to 1999, they gave an opportunity for me to develop a local initiative support department within within CSA. But that did not work out that well, so that in 2000, a separate trust was formed, under which the local initiative support department merged or was handed over to CSA Trust, and it is under the aegis of CSA Trust that I have continued to work since 2000. Now, my relationship with Father John can be divided into 3 stages. The first is the formative stage, 1975 to 1993, when I was mostly learning from training, staying and working together, expansion of family, because I got married in 1986, all that. That was the first stage where I was getting trained for my future work with people. The second stage was independent existence, starting with the 1993 until Father left for Canada in, I think he left in 2013. That has 2 stages, 1993 to 2000, when Father John meticulously planned that I will still stay with CSA as part of the Holy Cross initiative. But in 2000, unfortunately, we had to split because I was only interested in practical work. And 2000 till 2013, when he left, when I was still very much in contact with Father John, at least 2 times, 3 times a month we met, and we had mass together, we had reflections together, all that. And the last part of his life, when he left for Canada until 2018 to 2025, when I visited Father John in Montreal with his Lebanese. So we had one of the best times together, and I was to go back to meet him this August with my wife. Ticket was booked, a visa was arranged, everything was done, and my daughter, who happens to be also his godchild, had planned to go in July, but unfortunately he died and we couldn't go. I would like to highlight, take a few minutes more, not more, talk more, because there are others who are also wanting to share their experiences with Father John. I would like to highlight Father John's uniqueness. It is very rare that we come across a man of the person of Father John. I have been in touch with priests, sisters, bishops, religious all over the country for so many years as part of the YCS as part of project coordination with Caritas Germany, met many bishops, have related with so many people, but I think I've never come across a person who is as simple as Father John. I think that is something that will always, even me, it is not possible for me to be as simple as Father John, because he led an uncomplicated life, always filled with gratitude and contentment in little things. He had very few possessions. In fact, the photo that I put behind me is of him wearing a wind cheater. He had a one wind cheater, maybe a couple of pairs of clothes, maybe 3 maximum. He had a suitcase in which he carried his luggage whenever he went for sessions, kgs and kgs load of luggage. He always traveled in sleeper class. And I think he was a man who was very simple. His personal possessions, they were nothing or almost nothing. That was his life. And his room, if you have visited his room was full of books, and he had a bed that was occupied by papers and books right through the day, and at night he had to vacate it to sleep, and every next day morning when we got up, he again spread out various papers in his bed. So first thing that has impressed me a lot, and I think there would not be another man who would impress me a lot, is his simplicity as a person. Even food habits, he ate just rice and just some sambar or curry, and a luxury was lassi with sugar, as somebody shared it in the Holy Cross fraternity. He just enjoyed some sugar, lassi with sugar, and once in a way he went enjoyed an ice cream or a steak or a movie, but his personal requirements were very little. Second is, I think he is a man who was very careful with money. He hardly spent any money. And we used to have a joke about him donating 25 paisa, 50 paisa to beggars at that point of time. And all the money he spent, he used to write it down. Accounts were very clear. And at the end of the year, I think he transferred all balance. He was not a person who demanded much from religious congregations for the seminars and trainings he undertook. But whatever money he collected, he handed it over to the Holy Cross. Now, one thing that I am touched with him even now is that he had been a very charismatic trainer. Personal life, very, very simple. Careful with money and and resources that he had. So and so that, resources, I just want to go back. He has built people in his life. He has not built any buildings. CSA has absolutely no brick and mortar anywhere, no huge buildings, no structures. He always led a simple life with resources he considered as very, very scarce. He was a charismatic trainer, and most of you would know, those who have attended his training, you give him a huge blackboard and morning 5 to 7 to write on the blackboard. All his sessions, all that he preached or talked about was in the blackboard. This day we have all multimedia, we have all kinds of things are there. But John used the blackboard. His presentation was excellent. He communicated what he wanted. Day 1, day 10, 50 to 60 people. He could handle a group that strong, 50 to 60 people. Morning 7 o'clock, his preparatory work will start by 5 o'clock, but his sessions, his mass, everything took over, and he could keep a captivating audience alive the whole day through with various jokes, everything written on the board. He did not deviate from his manuscript. So I think he was a charismatic trainer. And then I think if you ask me, he had been a true exponent of social teachings of the church, along with and liberation theology, along with Father Sebastian Kappen, Samuel Ryan, Stan Lursamy, Paul Gerivier, Claude D'Souza, whomever you want to call it. But maybe I am a little subjective here, but I have found Father John to be very genuine as a person. His demands were almost nothing. He led a life of simplicity to the core. These days we are so attracted towards our Pope, and he was a missionary in Peru. And I am very interested to read about him because the life of Father John and the life of our new Pope, I think very similar. Our Pope had less years in Peru, but Father John spent 50 very long years in India. He also wanted to die here, but because he had visa problem, he had to go. So he was a true exponent of the social teachings and of the church and social and liberation theology. I think he firmly believed that it was Christian duty to aid the poor and oppressed through social involvement. And I think many congregations shifted from big schools, colleges, hospitals to rural areas where they went to serve, inspired by the writings and the teachings of Father John. And just two more points because we sound for a brainstorming. There were some 35 points, but I have limited that to 7, and there are only 2 more. I think he was a vivid writer, author, writer, researcher, wrote over 40 books. I think that itself is a huge achievement for any person. I have not come across somebody who would dish out so many books, one after the other, on various topics of education, healthcare, social teachings, Christ the Liberator, all that, environment, all that. His interests were manifest. He could get up in the morning 5:30 and start to work, and he worked himself to sleep. In between, he took a break to pray or to walk in the corridors of the building where he stayed. He was happy with himself. He was not a person who socialized, met people. He went to the congregation once a month to Holy Cross Museum Road to have a lunch with the community. Other than that, he had not much contact with others unless he met with somebody came to meet him. So he was very happy with a life that was not a loner, but I think left to himself. He wanted to reflect, he wanted to read, he wanted to write, and I think he was good at that. And I think the last point I wanted to communicate is that he was a sound listener and counselor. This is a point I think many will not know, that you could go meet Father John for hours together to discuss a point, to reflect on your life, and you will come out with the feeling that this fellow listens, this fellow understands, and he doesn't have preconceived ideas to communicate to you. So and so that a few friends he had or who came to meet him have spent hours and hours together with him, talking to him, reflecting on their life. And I think he has been a great inspiration to such people, motivating them, inspiring them to get into social action. And the last point I would like to say is that he was not a priest from the pulpit. Even when he is in the pulpit, he made Mass, the liturgy, so meaningful and so alive. And I think I would have attended more Mass with him than any other, because ours was a relationship that was there for 50 years. Of which 38 years we were more or less communicating to each other. He was the godfather of my eldest daughter. My mother came to stay with me for some years, 17 years, when father was in India. Father John used to come. We have had liturgy together and sharing together, and I found it to be most meaningful. And in some of the training sessions, in the initial years, when we were having sessions together, we had big commotion because his liturgy and his way of was not acceptable to many religious at that point of time. And I remember one training when we were having, the sisters got up from the session, went to complain to the bishop that fellow is doing such things, this priest.
Connect to the laptop. You're not getting the volume, isn't it? But the video is connected.
Yeah, video is connected, yes.
What's that?
Hello, John, please mute yourself.
Who is John? Okay. I am ending with saying that I am most lucky to have met a man, very divine, very alive. And I think I am the most privileged and most lucky, and I'm right now working in the grassroots, helping more than 2,000 children to go to school, to have primary basic education, inspired by Father John. More than that inspiration, I think maybe it would have come through other sources, but his life has touched me. And I am always asking myself, was it ever possible that I led a life of simplicity, of commitment, of spirituality? I think that is a big answer, and I think he deserves a deep place in our lives. I am happy to share this with you because I think none other in our country would have had this kind of experience. Because when he had got sick, I have stayed in his home for weeks together. And Father John would say, John, come stay with me because I am having asthma. Initial years of his life, he had asthma. But he stayed in an asbestos sheet shed. If you ask me, would I ever stay in such a setup? No. But I feel robbed that he died all of a sudden, because to the best of my knowledge, his health was good till he went for his cataract operation. But what happened after that, we do not know. Thank you, Sister Manju, for giving me this privilege, because I am honored to speak a few words about Father John. It's a little emotional because he had been very much part of me and my family for many, many years, and his thought will go on.
Thank you very much, Dr. George. We are really privileged. It was as if we are living with Father John. As you are sharing, I too have attended his sessions on 7-day social analysis seminar. The way you are explaining, I was reliving those experiences. Many of us, those who are present here, those who had been able to attend his seminar will be doing the same. So as a tribute, we spend just 30 seconds. Okay, friends. I think there is no need of any clarification. Is there any one comment that anybody wants to make? Just one. Or we move ahead? Since I don't see anybody, we have a list of people who have volunteered earlier, and after them, others can take your time, but be short, 2 to 3, maximum 4 minutes. I invite Sister Nancy from Mumbai to share your experience. Nancy belongs to Canossian Sisters. Sister Nancy, please unmute yourself.
Thank you, Manju. Listening to Dr. Joseph revived memories of Father John. I first met John sometime in the early 80s, I was a very young sister, and I was associated in a small way with YSN, and we had a seminar that was in Belgaum. And after that, a few years later, somewhere in the mid-80s, our provincial invited him for the whole province, where he gave us analysis of society and something about the social teachings of the church. It was this experience that opened up a whole new horizon for us. My congregation till then, you know, we were at the at the height of the liberation theology movements, and as a young sister then, we were looking for new openings. My congregation was still very heavily into relief-based, a charity model in ministry, and some of us were restless for something more. And it was John who gave us this opening with that seminar that he conducted for the whole province. We got a whole new, he opened up a whole new vista kind of. And it was this experience that helped us to make that transition, to move from, very relief-based charity model in ministry into an empowerment model, working for justice, advocacy, and we evolved from there. Another thing that stands out, which Dr. George brought out, was his simplicity. This was in the 80s. We didn't have the technology we have now, but there were slide projectors available, yet his whole session was conducted with just a chalk and a blackboard. And as George said, everything was on the blackboard. He was an excellent teacher, a teacher par excellence. The simplicity of his delivery, with his humor, with very easy to understand language, that reached out to all of us young people who were not highly qualified in any way. We caught the message. And in a very simple way, we caught his passion, the passion with which he put himself into those sessions. His very humorous and down-to-earth manner, with real life examples, anecdotes, and examples of his own involvement, was what enthused us. Together with the sisters of my congregation, I would say we are grateful to John for having helped us, make this shift, this transition, helped us to evolve in the way we in our apostolate, in our ministry. And I'm grateful that we crossed paths with him at a moment when we needed a push. He helped us evolve. So I would say, thank you, John.
Thank you, Nancy. And we to thank John, just 10 seconds. Now I invite Father Morris, who has joined from the States. He is a Holy Cross priest. Father Morris, please unmute.
Okay. I would say the 1960s were very challenging times as well as very exciting times. That is the time I met Father DESROCHERS in Pune when he was rector of our seminary, and I was getting into my first year of philosophy. It's very challenging because I think, at least looking from Father John's perspective, those were the times when the church was opening up to the world in a way that had not happened for years. It was more continental in Europe and so on. So that was the time, if you recall, when I was just beginning my high school. Paul VI came to Bombay, first time out of Rome. And then there was also the worker movements after the French Revolution, where our congregation had started. Then, as other speakers mentioned, the liberation theology, which went to the extent of even including violence. So John had to maneuver in the light of all these, how to go about his particular desire of his heart into social action. I think that's the time, luckily, the province and the congregation also opted for the poor. There was one option that was available to anybody who wanted to venture into social action. And John definitely, after 6 years of his rectorship in Pune, he jumped into that. And to tell you that how he was unconventional in many ways, he always thought outside the box. I think Joseph mentioned to that. I recall in first year philosophy, when I was in Pune, he was the rector. And one day, some of the senior seminarians were driving the two-wheeler, the scooter, and that needed permission. I did not know that. So one of the senior theologian who was driving, I said, let me try. So I jumped on it and then started driving, went to the next playground and went on rounding there. And then when I came back, Father John called me. I thought, this is a serious matter. Don't you know that you need permission? I said, I didn't know. But he was very, very understanding. That was the first incident, my first year with him. So he simply, he understood from a different perspective. He thought that was a kind of, I guess, positive way of thinking, that I was creative. To think outside the box, one has to think very differently, right? Rather than following the institutional norms that he did not obey. He just said, oh, you are very innovative. Maybe we'll put you in the marketing. We used to go for Monday marketing. So you put me in that team, and then allowed me to learn scooter, which was allowed only much later. After 2 years being there, is to allow to teach, to learn the scooter. Anyway, just to mention that, one example how John always thought outside the box, very unconventional way. Later on, of course, I had many opportunities when I was administrator and provincial to sit in the governing body meeting and to discuss with him. Always, of course, I was not directly into social action, so I would think very differently, of course, with the expectation of the province structure. But he always was very particular, as George Joseph said, that accounts of the CSA has to be separate. All that money comes to it should remain only for the poor and for the needy. So we kept that with the auditors. We tried to keep that separate. So that is the way I think he maneuvered, taking into account the church's openness to dialogue, and to enter into new areas where people would respond to him. And he found his niche there, and he did very well. And that's what I would say at this point. I have only 2 to 3 minutes, so I don't want to go further. I have great memories of John DeRoche, working with him. He loved me, and I appreciated, admired his work. We never worked together in the same social action. I did have a thought, George Joseph may not know. Sometime I wanted to join also the social action movement later on, but it never worked out. I had many other thoughts. I would be in the missions at some point. That didn't work out there also. But anyway, I'm in the missions in the crazy West now for several years, and I am 77, and I'm still working full time. So God has given me some time. I went through open heart surgery 4 years ago, but my health has improved. I'm doing very well. I'm part of a school community, and I extend some days of help in the hospital here as well. So that's it from me. I can take one question if you have.
No, thank you, Father Morris.
You're welcome. Thank you.
Again, 10 seconds. Now I invite Sister Joel from Jharkhand.
Good evening, good morning, good evening, everybody. I think you can hear me.
Yes, good evening.
John, I did not work with him, but I attended some of his workshops, and I read many of his booklets and books, and I found him a very simple missionary, down to earth. And I found him very busy in teaching, in replicating what he had learned and what he had experienced. He wanted to share his experience, I felt like. And his teachings, I attended some of his workshops and read books, pamphlets. His writings are very simple. We could like discussion, and we could use those for study circles in our social action field. I used many of his teachings to teach others. It was very simple and easy to understand. And I also found him. He enjoyed teaching the social teachings of the church, even though the church is not all that is the social activist mode, but he took out some of the very important points from the social teachings of the church, and he explained to us. And analytical, his analysis of the situations and events, and analysis of education, health, everything he could analyze and see them, analyze and see them, the kernel. He could see oppression and exploitation. He could unearth, and he would teach us. So I always appreciated his teachings and his books, and I am very happy to share about him now. Thank you.
Thank you, Joel. Again, 10 seconds. After that, Father Bosco. Yes, Father Bosco.
I am here.
Welcome, Father.
You hear me?
Yes, very much.
So, you hear me, Manju?
Yes, Father.
Okay. Now, I came to know Father John DeRoche when I was a theologian and a young priest. And during the ICUF camps, I was working with the ICUF students, and we used to have camps and we used to have seminars. And at that time, I met for John DESROCHERS. John DESROCHERS was a very, in a way, handsome, attractive young man, very cheerful, very enthusiastic, sort of fully alive. So, and what attracted me towards him was his ideas about liberation theology. One important thing that I learned from him was all our education, our theology, our social analysis, everything must result in action. Every time when we meet, finally we say, action, brothers, action. So what do you want to do? So that is what I learned from him. And another thing is,
Father
you got
Bosco,
a
you are muted. Please unmute yourself, Father Bosco.
hello? Yes.
Now it's okay. Now it's okay.
What is that?
Please speak.
Yeah, yes. So I was very much impressed by him, and I should say, as I said, concerning action-oriented theology, I learned from him, and every
Hello?
result in action. That's what I learned. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Father Bosco. Your last part actually was not audible. Okay. Just again 10 seconds. After that, Sister Ansi will read 2 letters of Miss Jyoti Raj.
Sister Ansi, please come in.
Ansi?
Yes, I am here.
Yeah. Actually,
Good evening,
Jyoti is
everyone.
present. 1 minute. Jyoti is present here, but she has some problem with her throat. So she has shared 2 letters. One is the letter from her to Father John, and another one from Father John to her. She really depicts what she wants to say. So, Ansi.
So what I am reading out is the voice of Jyoti. I giving voice to the voiceless. Okay. Letter begins here. Dear Jyoti, it is with great joy that I send you my best wishes and prayers on the occasion of your birthday. I hope your health is fine and that you can continue to dedicate yourself to your sincere, efficient, and meaningful service of the people. There is in front of me a beautiful picture of yourself, Raj, and your 2 children that so often reminds me of your family. The very best of all of you. I am well enough to continue to enjoy my meaningful souvenirs of 50 years in India and with good friends like you. I am also thankful to be able to spend much of my days in quiet readings and reflections. Much love, John. And the second letter is dated on 3rd December 2024 from Jyoti to John. Dear John, tomorrow is your day, a very special day, 4th December.
Father
Wish
John,
you
please mute. Okay.
Wish you a very happy birthday, John. Have a nice and meaningful day. Celebrate your life. So far away, your memories fill my heart. You are special and unique in your own way. As a trainer, I always keep you at the back of my mind while organizing and training people. Your social analysis sessions, your writings on the board, Your books, your letters, sharings, celebrations, meetings, your personal touch, simplicity of life, authentic to the core of your being, your sense of humor, commitment to the cause, the difficulties faced, interest in building up leadership, youth leadership, the deep spirituality, the person of Jesus as a friend, etc., etc., are the memories to be cherished. My personal reflections with you, the time you spent with Raj and my family, the family keep coming back to me. Thank you, John, for the energy of life. I continue my commitment to your people. Thanks for all your contributions. John, wish you everything well for you. Take care, Jyoti. Thank you.
Thank you, Ansi. Sister Mary Nalpadakalam. Mary, unmute yourself. All others, please mute so that we can hear. Mary? Where is Mary? Hello? Mary? Sister Mary MMS, Nalpadangalam.
Sister, you can call somebody else and give her a chance later.
Okay. Rani, are you able to speak now? Rani? She is traveling, she has had returned. Then I invite Dr. Jacob Raju from Bangalore. Yes.
Hello. Good evening, everyone.
Good evening.
I am from Bangalore, and I first met Jean DESROCHERS when I was in a college teaching French, and he came there for a workshop. And that's the first time I understood how a workshop has to be conducted. All the details are on the board and interactions, lot of interactions. And I really liked it. Then, that was in 1978. After that, I met him for the second time in 1982. I was married by then, and my wife was teaching in a school, and he was in YCS, YSM, and very much interactive with Father John DESROCHERS. And we were staying very close to Bangalore Social Institute, where he used to conduct so many workshops. And my wife and myself used to go to many workshops to attend it. And that's how I got more familiar with Jean DESROCHERS. And then he started Bangalore Social Action Trust. And he made me one of the trustees there. And we used to meet often. And then he started a journal for the Social Action Trust, BSA Trust Journal. And we used to meet every 3 months with other people, other trustees, and work and talk about the next journal that is going to be published, and so on. So I have been very active with him with that. And one point I want to say is I have learned my way of talking to people from him, giving all the details first, the short forms, and then talk with interaction, and sometimes some activities also. This was his way of talking to people or workshops, and that's what I learned from him. And just one more point I say, as Dr. George was saying, one day I happened to go to his bedroom because he is working from his bedroom only, no other place. I saw the number of books there, all over the place, on the floor, on the table, on the bed. Bed was full of books. So now I happened to ask him, Father, where do you sleep? He said, someday I sleep on the bed, sometimes I sleep on the floor, depending on wherever he is feeling. So such a simple person he was. So, and I learned a lot from him, and I don't want to continue further. This was my experience, and I really worked with him many years. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Dr. Jacob. Again, 10 seconds. Now I invite Father Cedric Prakash.
Thank you very much, Manju, and greetings to all present here. We have already heard, beginning with Dr. George Joseph, some very moving testimonies and personal experience of Jean Desrochers. I have to go back to the late 60s and the early 70s when I was a young student from Bombay. I'd gone to the Indian Social Institute. At that time, we had stalwarts there. Henry Falcon, Sebastian Carpen, Jean Desrochers was a very young Holy Cross priest. There was Stan Swami, there was Duarte Pareto and the others. These were the people who formed us, young people, university students. Later on, I worked full-time for more than a year with the All India Catholic University Federation, the ICUF. And John Desrochers was very much part of our thinking, of our training, and being with us at our camps, at our programs. I want to just now in this short time emphasize on 5 dimensions which touch me in my life where Jean Desrochers was concerned. First was his commitment to Christ. I think this was a non-negotiable, but it was Christ the Liberator. His famous book was that, Christ the Liberator, based on liberation theology and so on. The second is his concern for the church. He was deeply concerned, post-Vatican II, about why the church was not moving in the direction, like Stan Swami, where the church should be going. At that time, he was already speaking about Catholic social teaching, beginning from Rerum Novarum, why this Pope has taken the name of Pope Leo XIII. Pope John XXIII, Pacem Terris. He was doing synodality. He was empowering the laity much before it became fashionable in the church today. The third was his compassion for others. He was a social analyst, but a tremendous compassion and love for the poor, the excluded, the exploited. He had a caliber for intellectual rigor, a tremendous. He read, at least 3 people have spoken about the amount of books in his room there. He slept with books. He believed that knowledge, wisdom, having intellectual rigor was very important for any kind of social activism. He had a great competency as a trainer. His approach, he didn't have the gadgets we had today. Everyone spoke about him writing on the board with a white chalk. It was chalk talk, but his was participative, It was interactive. And I think he was truly a prophet of his times. Tomorrow we remember Father Stan Swami. Here in, I'm just rushing out for a meeting with the PUCL. We are organizing a big program here to commemorate his 40th anniversary. They were in a way collaborators. They were partners in, as the government of India would regard, partners in crime. But they were people who gave us a new idiom. They gave us a new direction. They charted the course for us and made us. I was a very young man at that time in the late 60s and the early 70s. They gave us a new vision, which I think we have to have the courage and the commitment to take tomorrow. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Father Cedric. Please, 10 seconds. Sister Mary, MMS. Unmute yourself. Unmute. Mary. Please unmute.
Can you hear me?
Okay. Okay.
Yes. Actually, first I must say word of thanks to Manju for inviting me to share a few thoughts and experiences of ours with Father John. We medical mission sisters are really very much indebted to him. The shift we have made in our mission, our aptitudes and approaches to the marginalized, the socially backward, and economically poor sections of the society in India, and make changes to become relevant to the context of the poor and vulnerable sections of the people in India. After our renewal chapter in 1967 and the following general chapter in 1973, we began exploring ways to implement the directions of our general chapters. It was a time of change for our society. And during this time, our association with Father John started, probably towards the end of 1978, and continued around middle of 1990s. He motivated us really enter into the lives of the people, go to the grassroots involvements and mobilize them. He guided us to set practical goals and steps to make our ministries relevant. In view of this shift, we raised the awareness of our membership by conducting more than 3 workshops for our entire province. To cover the total membership, each workshop was held in 3 groups, and each of them having several sessions. Its focus was social analysis, social situation of India, its challenges, our responsibility, and action. The sessions were inspiring, challenging, yet appealing to our sisters because they were incorporated with the Word of God, social teachings of the Church, and missionary spirituality. Besides these, for our entire membership, conducted sessions for our renewal groups every year. A good number of our sisters were privileged to participate in the workshop organized by Caritas India, Shivagangai, Tamil Nadu. Also attend some programs in Bangalore, John was a key source person. The all members workshop were held at Ayusha Ititadam, Kerala, and he came on his own, very little luggage, using public transport and walking. He never used computer, and it is unbelievable how he managed to write an elaborate list of every presentation. The blackboard had to break time. John did not limit his social consciousness to his classes. As some of you already mentioned, he lived an ordinary, simple life after a lifestyle of a simple worker and ate simple food. He lived what he preached and practiced principle that all of us who need to work enough hours a day to earn the livelihood we enjoy. We experienced him as an unassuming, genuine, vibrant, energetic, and approachable person. Great determination, deep commitment, the core. He is remembered as a simple, humorous, disciplined, creative, resourceful, passionate, and courageous social activist. Above all, a witness of Christ, who kept the poor of India close to his heart. Over the years, he became a close friend of MMS. Whenever he came to Kerala, he visited our communities. Yes, he was like a mentor and someone who turned our life around. We are ever grateful to you, Father John. Thank you, Manju, and the organizers for this opportunity. Share his memories here. Thank you.
Thank you, Mary. 10 seconds. After that, Anita Chettiar. Anita is going to read the paper which was sent by Dr. Pushpa Joseph, the editor of Magnet. She is out of the country, so she has sent it. Yes, Anita.
Thank you, Father Anand and Manju. Here I go. Dr. Pushpa writes, I first met Father John DESROCHERS during my pre-novitiate days. At the time, Sister Levinis, a woman I continue to admire deeply for her passion, authenticity, and wholehearted commitment to God and his people, was guiding us as pre-novice mistress. Father John was a close friend of hers, and he would often visit the pre-novitiate. He gave us sessions on social analysis and a Christian responsibility to the poor. Those early encounters with him left a lasting imprint on my formation and thinking. Though I wasn't in frequent contact with him over the years, I always knew he was someone I could turn at important crossroads in life. And I did. In moments of discernment or quiet struggle, I reached out, and he always responded with wisdom and warmth. What struck me most about Father John was his rare integration of mind and heart, but never remote. His depth was matched by his tenderness. He had a genuine love for people, especially those going through searching, painful seasons. He listened with compassion and responded with clarity and care. In remembering him, I recall not just a towering intellect or a prophetic voice for justice, but a friend, a guide, and a deeply human soul who helped many, including me, to listen more closely to the call of Christ in our time. Thank you.
Thank you, Anita. 10 seconds. Father Kevo Joseph, another Holy Cross priest from Northeast.
Good evening to all the friends of Father John DeRoche who are gathered here to pay tribute to him today. Thanks to Sister Manju, CSC, and to the forum who gave me this opportunity to speak a few words, recalling the memory of Father John DeRoche. He was very special, especially to the religious men and women, as he animated them with his favorite subject, that is on social analysis and social action. I came to know him from 1965, and my close contact with him was in 1970 when I joined the major seminary in Pune, where he was the rector. He was my mentor and guide. I was very much free with him. So my first impression came from his style of functioning as a formator. He was friendly and informal with the seminarians, and thus he endeared himself with all the seminarians. Side by side, he engaged himself in animating YSM and YCS in Pune. He was able to inculcate this social concern in the young minds. Second thing I remember is about his intellectual caliber. He was a voracious reader who had an inquiring mind and was quick in grasping things. He could read and summarize a book overnight. He earned his doctorate in Christian ashrams in India from JDB, Pune. I was present at the defense of his thesis. He had a vast spectrum of interest about India. This very fact that he had an interest in ashram movements also indicates his spirituality. Thirdly, his prime area of interest was social concern, social and economic situation of the poor of India. He attended a session in social analysis from ISI Bangalore and later helped giving sessions and training for the social activists and so for the social activists and religious men and women, animating them to give a kind of different orientation in life. He also gave different sessions in BSLC and Matra Dei in Goa. He was a regular resource person there, and other religious houses. He believed in networking with other people, other NGOs who had the same concern. He was a great admirer of Father Stan Ludusamy. I came to know about him only from Father Roche. He was more at home with a prophetic role in the church rather than a kind of institutional role. In 1975, he established a center for social action in Bangalore with the help of Dr. George Joseph, as we heard from him. And they worked together in publishing a series of booklets and social issues and challenges we face in India with a vision, the India we want. That was his vision. He also began a journal in 1997 on integral liberation. I had the privilege of being a member of the governing body of this center in Bangalore. So we used to meet regularly. But I was transferred from Bangalore to 1998. And from then onwards, I did not have very much touch with him. He authored, as we heard from the previous speakers, so many books, 20 into 1, 40 books, and all of them concerning the social situation in India. He had no illusion to change the country overnight, but he was very much convinced that the change will come only when the system and the structure are changed. To sum up, I would say that he knew what the Lord required of him. And I quote from Prophet Micah, act justly, love tenderly, walk humbly with the Lord. And he worked for justice. He loved tenderly everyone, especially the poor. And he was humble and simple, genuine. And his liturgy was not simply ritualistic. And it was very much personal and meaningful. He had to return to his own country, Canada, in August 2013, since his residential permit expired. He continued to work in the same area of his concern, even after returning from India. May his soul rest in peace. Thank you.
Father Kevo Joseph, 10 seconds. Now I invite Sister Rosalind SCN to read the paper of Sister Stella Baltasar FMM. She is also not available to be present.
Thank you, Manju. According to Stella Baltasar, Father John was an inspiration in his perspective of social analysis and commitment to the marginalized. His analysis of social reality was deep and energetically communicated to the younger generation. He was at the forefront of social analysis and its initial stage and inspired young minds with curiosity to learn and update ourselves in the same. He was committed to the cause of those who were pushed to the margins. His commitment to get to the root cause of poverty and his earnestness to transform the situation was commendable. His inspirations had impacted social awareness sectors and triggered in the young minds a passion for knowing the root cause of poverty and enhanced commitment from younger generations. We need to elicit responses from youthful enthusiasts and create a continuity in addressing the cause of poverty and ways of mitigating the same. May God grant him eternal rest. May we continue his mission relentlessly. That's it.
Manju, please connect. Manju, please mute. Please unmute.
Yeah, Father John. Yes, John.
Yes. So I would not like to speak about John DeRoche. I'd like to share my experience with him. His simplicity, gentleness, and availability attracted us to him. He came to us and we went to him. Albert Nolan spoke of stages of working with the poor. When I reached Bangalore as a first-year student of theology, 1975, emergency was declared, not because of us, but then there was John DeRoche and Stan Swami who would come to take social analysis for us. We were touched by what they spoke, and we went to them whenever we needed clarification. And we needed plenty of clarifications. We had doubts, anxieties, because what he taught us, what the church taught us, was to work for justice, to be with the poor. And when we did that, we got into trouble. And then we would go, rather than go for watching movies, we would go to spend time with John. He encouraged us and we kept on. By November, 44 families were liberated from bonded labor. After 8 years of effort by different batches of students, we were the privileged batch that was able to realize the efforts of our predecessors. But in all this, we are accompanied by John and Stan. We were always welcome to CSA, Center for Social Action. And he had always time for us. We read what he wrote, and we were more convinced of what we needed to do. We finished our theology. We were sent to different places. I too was sent. I was privileged to be 1 year in working in a village as a working priest. And John was our guide. Later, I was working in Andhra Pradesh or Hyderabad, Telangana. I did my counseling and I wanted to combine social action and psychology. John listened and listened and listened. And then he said, why don't you put this down and publish in Integral Liberation? He encouraged me to continue pursuing that, publish that, similarly on minimum wages. So he did not force his ideas on me, on us, but he guided us, showed us the path, and also encouraged us so that we will not leave the path. Today, if I continue, he is one of my mentors who kept me on the track according to the teaching of the church, according to our Christian vocation. I must thank John. I remember him. I miss him. And thank you, Manju, for inviting me and organizing this program. God
Thank
bless.
you, John. 10 seconds. Now I invite Cynthia Stephen from Bangalore.
Good evening, everyone. Thank you, Manju, for the opportunity to share a few words in honor of my very dear mentor and guide, Father John. I first met him introduced by a friend of mine when he was just starting Integral Liberation. This must have been in the 90s, late 90s. And so I felt very happy and privileged to be a part of this effort. And right through, without a break, I was a part of the committee and so we used to meet have quarterly meetings every quarter. And I don't think we missed even a single quarterly issue, except in one case. Then he wasn't sure because he was saying even if we miss a quarter, we might lose our registration. So we used to have a wonderful time meeting him, working with him. And in his, we used to have a cup of tea and maybe a biscuit or two. But the richness of the interactions is something that I really loved. At that time, I was a young mother. I had just had 2 small children and was working in a remote place. So this quarterly meeting and reading of the articles that were contributed, it really kept me sane. And not only that, his attitude of encouraging each of us to write made me put out some of my best articles in Integral Liberation. So even now, if any of my work needs to be revived, there are 2. One is Integral Liberation and the other is countercurrents.org. And it is such a privilege. I met so many wonderful people. Mr. Jacob was there and I just was happy to see him sharing. I was also there when Father Ambrose was part of the trustee, one of the trustees. But the thing about Father John was not only his intellectual capacity, but his gentleness and his relatability. And I was just as comparatively very young person, though I had been published and all that, but I had not been published in journals, serious journals, till I became a part of Integral Liberation, I think. And so it was a really professional honor to be a part of his team throughout the time the journal was being published. And I remember also during the time I used to have difficult situations financially. And I used to take a little help from him now and then to pay my children's fees and all that. but he will say it has to come back by March because we have to close our accounts. And they will remind me and make sure that, and I would always try. I think 2 or 3 occasions, his little help was a lifesaver. And there's another time when I had a need for a computer because I was in a very remote location where working. I managed to borrow their old computer, which was still using floppy disks, an amazing contraption. And so then when they needed it back, then I came and gave it. And the thing about Father, though he was not, conversant with using a computer, was that he had this beautiful handwriting and he used to write all his books in longhand, I dare say. And he used to have the most faithful people with him. Especially, I remember Mary Rani Peter. Such a lovely person, and he known to me otherwise also. But I think she was his woman Friday, as they say. She made his publications possible and wrote his accounts and generally kept the back end going in the office. It was such a the thought of Father John. I was very immensely saddened when I realized that he would no longer be allowed to stay and his visa was cancelled. I said, I'm sure that this is such a huge injustice. He lived here and worked here on the soil for our people for more than half a century. And it is a total insensitivity on the part of the government not to renew his, because given the kind of foundational impact Father John had, as you can see, so many institutions, so many people he has mentored who went on to do huge things for India. The books he has written and which will continue to influence people's lives. I don't know how many people in liberation theology or in Christian work or in education or in training would have had that much of an impact as Father John. But in spite of all this, he very humbly, without a murmur, left for his native land, and we were very saddened to hear of his passing. But we know that he has left the richest of legacies, not only in terms of his books and his example, but he has invested his life in generations, I would say, generations of people, change agents in the society, and has had a very, very foundational impact upon institutions, individuals, and programs. All I can say is that my deepest homage and honor. In India, we have the culture of falling on people's feet, though it's not a Christian thing. But honestly, if there's one person in front of whose face, I will fall prostrate, that is Father John. So in his memory, I just praise God for his life, his work, and for the luminous example that he has left for all of us to live up to. Thank you so much for this opportunity.
Thank you, Cynthia. 10 seconds. It is actually 7:06. Can we invite anybody else to say? Father Anand?
Yeah, it's already 7:07. Program was supposed to be at 7. I think it's time to conclude. If anybody has anything, just raise your hand. Otherwise, we will go into vote of thanks by Devasi.
Anybody? Anything?
Manju, please invite Devasi.
Mr. Manju, I'm just here just to say a few words.
Yeah,
Mary Krishna Rani, yes, I just was able to join in. Yeah, it gives me a great pleasure it's an honor, in fact, to be here with Father when we are speaking about his memories. He was very precious to me. He was very, very simple. Of course, I heard a few words what Mr. George Joseph was speaking, but I was not able to be there for the whole thing. Of course, I don't know. I have no words. That's all I could say. As Cynthia said, yes, he was very, many people were influenced by him. He was a great person who helped people, in fact, in his very, very simple way. I know many of them lay people as well as religious who came to him for help, and in his own simplicity, how they were really felt a relief and able to lead their life in a better way. And every day, which I would like to always mention is morning, of course, he will help every day very systematically. He will write what I'm supposed to do for the work, for the day's work. And he will sit and very patiently explain to me everything. And then later, uh, in the afternoon, he'll come speak to me, make me feel at home, in fact. And then he will say, you want anything, you be free to take. And then he will say a few jokes, in fact, to keep me, to refresh me, in fact. Like I was the only person over there, so he would feel that I was not left alone, or he was fully engrossed in his work. So he'll say, you always feel free. If you're feeling very tired, you can always come and speak to me. So that is how it was. He was more like a father to us. Father means it's not the father, the priestly father. It was really a father, like my own father. He was a second father to me. Yes, very comforting, especially every time when I ride my bike. After my husband passing away, I learned bike. Father used to stand every evening. He'll be near the gate to bid bye to me. Every evening, he will leave all his work. Everything he will like, his writing, everything he will leave. Even if he had visitors, when I'm leaving the office, he will be near the gate to say bye to me. And when I was learning this bike, and every day I remember that, he told me, Rani, you can't have your leg down. If you have your leg down, they will not give you the license. So he helped me to even in riding the bike. And whenever it rains, I remember him very close. He will say, Rani, don't go fast. If you go fast, you will skid. You know, these are the simple things. It was not work related alone, which he was very particular and meticulous in other way. It was, and as George said, very, very simple with his couples. He was there. And many of my friends used to go to St. Gulabis for the mass. I told them, that's the place whom with I'm working with. They'll say, what? He's coming like this. Why he's not wearing? I said, that is what is his profession, which he's keeping up to. The food which he used to eat, I used to feel very bad. So such a simple food. I have not seen anywhere the people eating that simple food. And it will be only Indian food, not something. Once the maid, the cook had not come, I had brought some chapatis for him. He got angry with me. He says, you have children. You take care of your children. Me, I can buy from out. You should not force yourself. And even for my husband, when my husband passed away, he was there at the funeral and all the Holy Cross priests were there. And it was a grand thing. It was all because of Father in his very simple way. And on one of the occasions, when we had a prayer meeting, he came early and he took a cloth, a rag, and he started wiping all the chairs. Which priest will do it and which boss will do it? And such a great writer he is. He didn't see that. The humbleness of Father. I have so many things, so many to speak about Father. I don't think there's time also, but he's very, very precious to me and to my family. He was great person, and many of us. There are many of them who are not there over here. They all miss him a lot.
Thank you very much, Rani, for bringing up that sensitivity of Father John and also his human concern. Thank you very much.
Sorry, this is John Sidham here. Just very quickly for a few minutes. I know it's very late, and I just joined in. I'm in Melbourne, in Australia. It's nearly midnight, and I missed the starting of the session. I just want to take a couple of minutes rather quickly. I first met John DeRoche in 1975, along with George Joseph, who is here, I think, in this webinar, and also with Sister Josie Clemens. And Josie is also, I think, is online here. Father John and Josie conducted a 10 days social analysis seminar for young students. And that was my first contact. And that was the starting point for me. It opened up my world, my views, my outlook on many things. And ever since George and I have been involved in our movements, and in 1979, we both worked full time. George worked in Karnataka and I worked in the northern region, starting many new groups and movements and things like that. And throughout that period, even though we've had many chaplains, our local chaplain and national chaplain, John Doreshe was a mentor for us throughout. And he was an inspiration, and he was, he gave us that intellectual stimulus. Because, for us, we had one understanding of the church as we grew up through, catechisms and all of that. He gave us a different perspective. He gave us that analytical approach. And also, we are working with the, with the students, with the school dropout kids in slums, but he gave us an analytical, structured approach of how to interpret, understand what it means to us, in that period. So I felt, that was during our formative years, and it was so essential, and it has really shaped all of my outlook and then my life around afterwards, in all my commitments to most of the work I was doing in international development and in students' movement, also back in India when I worked in development projects, and throughout my career. I had the privilege of seeing him a few years ago in Montreal when he was stuck there, he couldn't come back. And he was still writing. His mind ticks all the time. And I think at that time he was writing some material on church and gender, on feminism. I had the chance to look at the draft, but I don't know if he has shared that material with anyone. So that seems to be one of the last pieces of work that he was working on. So I do really miss, and I'm so glad George is here. He probably spoke earlier already, but I feel really honored to have known, not only that he has been instrumental in shaping my outlook, my life, and my deep spirituality as well. And we both, George, Joseph, and I, had done retreats with him, spent time with him to get inspired from his way of life, his way of thinking, and his deep spirituality. Thank you so much for the opportunity and for giving me this,
Thank you, John. Thank
extending
you.
the time.
Needi Bhaiya, you want to say something? No? Unmute.
Whom are you calling, Manju?
Needi Bhai's thing was on. No,
Yeah,
no.
can you hear me?
Yeah,
Yes.
please.
Please
Yeah.
put on your video.
So,
Yeah, please.
what I have to say, I have already written in the message. Father John was one of the persons who impressed me immensely. I was in contact with him as a student. He was 5 years older to me, a very young priest there in Pune. And we used to invite him for our group masses to inspire us, to guide us. And after 10 years of break, I contacted him again when I was here in Varanasi. He was invited for for inspiring the IMS congregation, and I was very much impressed by his training program, his seminar, and his booklets. I went through all of his booklets, at that time and later, and his book on Jesus, our liberator. And all these books were very, very impressive and helped me, influenced me in my thinking, in my social action, and in my life. Thank you very much. I remember him, I pray, and I congratulate all of you for organizing this meeting. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Didi Bhaiya. I think stop with that. Devasi?
Yeah, can you hear me?
Yes, yes.
Okay. First, I shall not be very long.
Yeah.
I'd like to thank George Joseph for the detailed description and the inspiring talk he has given. I know the difficulties he had because we changed the date and time and all that. And in spite of all that, he adjusted and he has given us a very inspiring talk. Then I must thank Sunil for agreeing to do the Zoom hosting. And it was working very well. Unlike last time, there was little confusion. But this time, things worked very well. So, Sunil, special thanks to you. Then I think we must mention Manju for the great spade work she has done. Contacted so many people, motivated so many people to participate and to push the Father Anand to be on pins and needles so that the thing will work out very well. Manju, very, very special thanks to you. And your work has brought out the fruit also because the number of people attending, the number of people who shared everything shows that your work has borne the fruit desired by you. And Father Anand, you also deserve special thanks because I think you have coordinated everything so well and arranged so many meetings and they got everybody to work together and contacting so many people, arranging so many things and everything. I think Anand, you have done well, and special thanks to you. And all the speakers who shared, all of you deserve because all of you have prepared something and come so that you can share, and all your sharings were very meaningful and it inspired so many people. And your own inspirations from Derosh told us, and most all those people who attended this, thanks to everyone, and uh, good night to all of you. Father Anand, want to share something? Final words?
Yes, thank you very much, Devsi, for proposing vote of thanks. We're very glad that we were at one time 120, 102 people. That's what I noticed. Uh, and it's a very successful program, a true honor and tribute to Father Jean de Roche. And also, we once again remember Father Stan Swami, and on the eve of the martyrdom, fourth martyrdom day of Father Stan Swami, we have paid tribute to Father Deroshe and also his companion and co-worker, co-thinker, Father Stan Swami. I thank and appreciate the presence of everybody. And one thing very beautiful is that 75 people were all staying for a long time without withdrawing themselves. And now we may be only just 48. But I would like to inform that Brother Sunil has done the recording. So anybody who needs recording to be sent to them, kindly just send your number to mine. I'm just typing 9598 604926.
Hello?
Is my number. I am just sharing there. Please send to me or to any member of the forum or to Brother Sunil. We shall try to send it to you. Thank you very much. God bless you. And Father John Daroshe and Father Stan Swami and all such people who worked for the liberation of the people under the discipleship of Jesus are in the heaven interceding and continuing to inspire us to work for the marginalized, with a right social analysis. God bless you all.
Thank you, Anand. Now what to do with this recording actually?
Recording will be, we will request Brother Sunil to provide us, and then we shall share it.
No, I will stop it now.
Oh, you are the one recording? Okay.
No, actually Sunil, but he left. Now how to
Okay,
proceed?
no problem. We'll request him to share it.
So I want to stop it.
You just leave, then it will be.
If you just exit, it will close. Yeah.
Thanks to all of you, especially to the Holy Cross Fathers. Bishop Lumen Montero has
Bishop
been
Lumen
always
was
here
there.
throughout. Thank you very much. Thanks
Father
to
Jose,
all
thank you
people
very
who
much.
shared.
It
Yeah.
is Father Jose who helped me to get the numbers of some people, especially George Joseph. Then Joseph helped me other numbers and so many others.
Oh, thanks, Manju.
Thank you. I don't know how to do with this recording. Anand, can I stop the recording or what is to be done?
Manju, when you close the when you close it, it will stop by automatically.